Alright, we're back. We're back. Uh, my dogs have decided to come out and invade the room I'm in right now, so I apologize if they decide to start barking. I don't think they are, but because they're sleeping right now for the most part, so should be okay. Alright, so let's get into this testimony. I ain't gonna go down without a fight, that's for sure. Anyway, the basis for the absolute truth. I admit that I stabbed the Englishwoman, but that fact has proved me innocent. If I'd already slipped her poison, there would have been no need for me to stab her. Listening to the schoolgirl and the Englishwoman's argument that day got me angry. If the Englishwoman wasn't going to be judged for her crime, then someone had to take justice into her own hands. Their own hands. Man, I have such mixed feelings for this guy. Like, I'm not even angry at the crime he just committed. Like, I'm just not mad. So then, you admit it. You admit that the one who stabbed the victim in the back through the reeds was you, Momi-sama. It's our nation's fault. A nation that yields to the pressure of foreign ones and allows a murderer to go free has no future. That's why I had no choice but to take matters into my own hands in the cowardly Japanese government's stead. I plunged the blade of justice into that lovely lady's back. Yeah, I'm not even mad at this guy. Like, no, he shouldn't have done it, but I see where he's coming from. As someone who's charged with spreading the truth, allow me to apologize deeply for giving false testimony. However, it would seem that someone was able to get things done before I could. Yes, naturally. I'm referring to that lovely, respected, deserving schoolgirl. Hari-sama. She slipped that Englishwoman poison and stopped her heart. She saved me from being declared a murderer. Now this I can't forgive him for, that he's framing someone else. That's true. If she'd already been slipped poison, it would have only been a matter of waiting for her to die. There would have been no need to go to the trouble of stabbing her in the back. Therefore, this man has nothing to do with the poisoning. Naturally, that's the obvious conclusion. Yes, I think you all understand my point. Long live the Supreme Court! How could this happen? We came so far and now he's going to get away? Neither Kazuma-sama nor Naruhodo-sama ever forgot to look ahead before the sound of the last gavel fell. Alright then, defense. You may conduct your final cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor! Let's look at this pen. You know, we have to figure out where that poison's coming from, so maybe it's in the pen. Now then, let's try removing the cap. Let's disassemble the grip too. This is where the ink goes, correct? Yes, the ink nib end extends into the ink cartridge and sucks up the ink. Is something wrong, Father? As far as I can tell, there doesn't appear to be any ink in the cartridge. You're right, it's nearly empty. Did it just happen to run out of ink? Found pen. The initials HM are engraved in it. There's just a little liquid left in the ink cartridge. Give me 1 second. I gotta close the door. He might have, there was only a little bit of poison taken from the lab, so he might have actually put the poison inside the ink cartridge area. Okay. Excuse me. I admit I stabbed the English woman, but that proves me innocent. So in other words, you possess murderous intent toward the victim. Ha! More like righteous indignation. Righteous indignation? He must mean justified anger. That English woman committed murder in our country. In other words, the ultimate crime. The government just let the criminal be, so I, Mommy Momi, had to take up my hammer of justice in their stead. Justified anger. Societal justice. That's what's turned me into the monster I am. In short, you did possess murderous intent, correct? You don't need to be so dramatic, good sir. Either way, there's only one thing that matters. That my righteous indignation rendered that English woman speechless.
And now it's our turn to bring down that hammer of justice upon that schoolgirl.
Regardless, I obviously had nothing to do with the poisoning. And that's why you wouldn't have poisoned her? That's right! It'd be like wearing a belt and suspenders at the same time. I'm sorry, his testimony was if I slipped the poison, there would have been no need for me to stab her. I'm so used to putting my little subtitles there.
After the defendant poisoned her, this witness stabbed her. Naturally, we can't just let him off the hook, but the one who committed the murder was the defendant. That's how the law works. Have you learned something new today, Hicks student?
However, to be murdered twice, I can't help feeling sorry for the victim. Don't feel sorry for her! That just goes to show how evil she was. That's how the law works. I'm pretty sure that's not how the law works. Witness, tell the court why you stabbed the victim. Listening to this girl and English woman argue that day got me angry. What were the two of them talking about? About the murder 9 months ago. The schoolgirl was yelling at the English woman for killing Professor Watson, whom she felt indebted to. John H. Watson, the medical doctor whom Professor Mikatoba invited from England. But the English woman just laughed scornfully about it.
She was due to face trial in consular court in Shanghai, but no doubt she would have been found innocent, and after that she would have been allowed to return to her homeland in England.
The defendant seemed frustrated about that. I couldn't help feeling sorry for her. Hold it!
Hold it!
That's Hari.
I can't possibly accept what you just testified.
Hari-sama.
Hey! Who said you could take the stand, defendant?
Exactly. I'm in the middle of my testimony. Kindly keep quiet.
But what you just said is nothing but a big fat lie. Hey, Susato-chan, please,
We're in the middle of a cross-examination. The defendant will return to his seat at once. Your Honor, I implore you. That reporter is not a trustworthy witness.
That's right. He's an evil, spiteful peeping Tom who surrounds himself in filthy lies.
You went a bit too far there.
Soseki! He's just like, why am I still here?
Please, let us hear what the defendant has to say.
There's no need for us to hear her, Your Honor.
The court will honor the defense's request.
Your Honor!
I believe this will be the last cross-examination of this trial. Therefore, it's important that we listen to the defendant's claims. It may be a tad unorthodox, but, defendant, you may state your claim.
Thank you very much. It had nothing to do with Professor Watson. We were talking about the stolen poison.
You mean the poison that took the victim's life?
I suspected that the English woman was the one who stolen it. Just remember what happened in the case 9 months ago.
That's true. Miss Bullet knew about the poison. But I can't imagine that a medicine development in secrecy would be easy pickings for a thief. Quite right. Everyone who visited the lab was subject to thorough body checks. Even if we didn't see her taking it, it would have been difficult for her to make off with it.
During our conversation, I was allowed to see it after insisting on it, but later, when it was time to leave the lab, I was given a thorough pat-down.
Miss Bullet imprudently revealed the existence of the poison, you see. Mr. Soseki seemed unusually interested in it, so I had no choice but to show it to him. Naturally, I didn't divulge anything about it except that it was a deadly poison.
I'm ashamed of myself. It's just that I have incredibly unpleasant memories pertaining to deadly poison. Getting a glimpse of it made me feel better. Surely you understand.
Is this foreshadowing?
In any case, it was that poison that I was speaking to that woman about. On the off chance that an incident were to occur due to the use of that poison, not only the lab, but the military and even our government would have been dragged into it. It would have been a major disaster. That's what I told her.
And what did Giselle Bullet say to that?
I don't know, she said, her pretty lips curling upward.
Ah, may I ask you something, Mr. Mommy Momi? No, you may not! As you can clearly see, I'm terribly busy. You were listening in on their conversation at the time from outside the shack. You wouldn't have used what you learned from that conversation to write this article, would you? Oh. Powerful drug stolen from the Yume Imperial University Medical Research Lab. That is a mouthful. The article appeared in this morning's edition of the Daily Dai Gyakuten. It's written in great detail. Were you the author? I have no idea what you're...
You're right! That information in the article is verbatim for what I said to her that day. Well, Mommy Momi-sama?
As a reporter, and as a man, I never reveal my sources. That's part of my Mommy Momi philosophy. Mommy Momi philosophy.
Looks like it's just as father suspected. Mommy Momi-sama wrote his article based on the information he heard from outside the shack that day.
An poison article. An article about some poison that was stolen from the research lab of Yume Imperial University. Mommy Momi used the info he overheard to write it.
Oh, I see. So it was in order to hide that you told that sleazy lie about me arguing with her.
Shut your mouth. I never done a sleazy thing in my life. Uh-huh. The words of some mere schoolgirl don't change that fact. Your Honor, I'd like to make something abundantly clear. Very well. You may amend your testimony. In any case, there's no need to stab someone who'd already been poisoned. Representing the newspaper article? The poison article. The poisonous, deadly article. Let's not make the same mistake last time I did this. There's only one reason I can think of. What? Before that, allow me to confirm something, Mommy Momi-sama. Did you hear all the information written here while you were eavesdropping from outside the shack? Yes! That should be fairly obvious! After all, when it was shown to us in the lab, the only thing they told us about it was that it was an incredibly deadly poison! And there's one other fact here that's important. Haori-sama started arguing with the victim as soon as she entered the shack. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to slip the victim any poison.
How the hell do you figure that?
Mommy Momi-sama testified that he saw the entire event from start to finish. If Haori-sama had tampered with anything, he should have seen that. Oh. In any case, the one who slipped Giselle Bullet the poison would have to have done so before Murasumi-kun ever even arrived at the crime scene. That's true. That much is clear.
We were talking about that medicine inside the shack.
That's when Mami Momi-sama overheard some frightening information.
Frightening information? What do you mean?
Just as he wrote in his newspaper article, the poison was being developed in secret and isn't something that could be attained just anywhere. Not anywhere by a long shot. In fact, it didn't exist outside our lab. And when that poison had been used, it leaves behind clear traces.
Incredibly constricted pupils. It's so dramatic that you can tell at a single glance. There are other poisons that produce similar symptoms, but the fact that it's an undetectable new drug makes it a different story.
In other words, if the victim's life had been taken through the use of the poison, the suspects would have been narrowed down in an instant. Ugh. Every one of the staff members in my lab knew the characteristics of that medicine. I can't imagine any of them going out of their way to put themselves in danger by using it to commit a crime. That includes Murasumi-kun, of course. Therefore, the one who slipped the victim the poison was the member of the general public who didn't know about its special traits. That's right, it was you! Mami Momi Heita! Blah! You were the one who stole the poison from the lab that day. And you were the one who slipped the victim the poison. But that was a fatal error.
Using that incredibly unique poison, which could be identified in a split second.
You knew that because you heard it while eavesdropping. However, this was after you already slipped her the poison, so it was too late. In order to hide your error, you cooked up a plan. Then, you stabbed the victim in the back through the read screen.
In the back? But why on earth would he do that?
Naturally, it was because he had to kill her instantly before the effects of the poison could manifest. Oh shit! Once the poison circulates through the body, its effects begin with contracted pupils. You had to end her life before that happened. That's what he was thinking. Precisely. If not for the traces it left behind, no one would ever know a thing about this poison that was being developed. Unbelievable. In order to hide this incredibly unique poison as the real cause of death, the killer had to stab the victim in the back with that knife. Order! 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 The court believes that this proposed turn of events makes sense. Does the prosecution have any rebuttal to offer?
Well, several, to the whole thing!
The prosecution's vague conjecture just now, just like the hope sprouting from his forehead, is but a candle in the wind.
My hope!
Hold it! Mata! Oh, what? Whoa! I can't count on that fallen warrior behind the prosecutor's bench for anything, can I?
Who are you calling a fallen warrior? This hope sprouting from my forehead is proof.
No rebuttal was ever even necessary. What do you mean by that? You shouldn't even have to ask. You see? Oh boy, Mommy's getting pumped up now. You've been tossing out accusations all over the place about how I slipped her deadly poison and then stabbed her. But in the end, you haven't proved a single word of it. It's only reasonable sounding conjecture, and the truth is you don't have a shred of evidence. And then there's the material I've been sitting on. Material? What do you mean? It's something that professor there said earlier. I scribbled it all down, cut it down and punched it up and kicked it out the door. That's the verbal violence that the Daily Daikoku is so famous for. But I can't imagine that a medicine developed in secrecy would be easy pickings for a thief. Quite right. Everyone who visited a lab was subject to thorough body checks. Even if we didn't see her taking it, it would have been difficult for her to make off with it. He hid it in the pen! Basically, just that. I, Mr. Mamimoe Hita, of the Daily Daikoku, had no way of making off with that poison, you see? Ah! So dramatic. No matter what he says, Mamimoe-sama definitely stole the poison he'd seen that day in the lab and used it to commit the murder. And if that's true, as you've already stated, the poison itself is the oh, she's speaking as a dude now. As I've already stated, the poison itself is the conclusive evidence. Whoever stole the poison that day must also be the true killer. What are you getting at, you damn hick pretty boy? I believe that that day, there was one way you could have stolen the poison. There's already been enough talk. What you need is evidence. Show evidence of how this witness could have stolen the poison on the day of the murder. The fountain pen.
Could I?
That would be this fountain pen. The fountain pen? What does that have to do with anything? This is a magical pen whose ink won't run out even if you jot down thousands of words. According to what I've heard, this mysterious writing utensil was brought over to Japan about 15 years ago.
Ha! I refuse to accept any writing utensil but a weasel fur brush. Ah, as an author ahead of his time, I'm quite fond of the fountain pen. Fill up with an ink of a favorite color and write like mad in nice, clean strokes.
Exactly. Fountain pens have a suction device built into their grips, which allows letters to be written by sucking ink up from the pen nib.
Sucking up ink?
Ah! And since it's capable of sucking up liquids naturally, it's also capable of squirting those inks back out. What is that pose she's doing? Is that a confident? Oh my god! Oh, that's beautiful! She's got her own confident pose. Oh, wait, so I need a screenshot of that. What do you say now, Mamimoe-sama? You, upon seeing the poison that day, used your fountain pen, the tool of your trade, to steal it. You used the suction device and sucked the poison up into your favorite fountain pen. Or into your fountain pen.
That's ridiculous! He couldn't possibly have done that!
It seems they were performing body checks in the lab to prevent theft, but I don't suppose the inside of his fountain pen was ever checked, was it? No, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but out of hesitation to insult our guest, we didn't check nearly that thoroughly. What the? This fountain pen was found in the victim's hand. In other words, Mamimoe-sama dropped it at the crime scene. So then, it becomes a question of when he dropped it. You don't mean... It was when the victim gave him an opening and he put the poison in his pen into her glass. That's the natural conclusion to draw.
Not necessarily. For example, I know. It could have been when the witness went to ask for an interview with the English lady and was flatly rejected. He may have been so upset by that the pen slipped from his trembling hand.
Then why would there not be ink in the pen?
Huh?
As you could tell by looking at it, there's currently no ink inside this fountain pen. There's no way a newspaper reporter would allow his weapon of choice to run out of ink. It happened after the suction device had already squirted out the poison inside. Witness, what do you have to say for yourself? Is this how the modern court operates? Oh my god, stop. Stop embarrassing yourself. Whether I let my fountain pen run out of ink or snap the lead of my pencil. What? Oh. I don't sweat it, I just pull out a new pencil. Holy shit, look at all his pencils. Yeah! What? Ah, he's throwing pencils! What? What? Pencil shurikens, go! You say there was poison in my fountain pen. You're just guessing. If you think you could get a respectable citizen declared guilty just by doing that, you've got another thing coming. There's still a bit of ink left. It seems that this reporter requires you to land a final killing blow. The situation is exceedingly clear. Whether this witness used his fountain pen to steal poison on the day of the crime or not. Is there any evidence to show one way or the other? It's all hinging on this. Ha! As if there were any such... This is a modern trial, Mami Momi-sama. What do you... In the modern trial, the only thing that matters is evidence. You might as well get that through your thick skull. The time for mere conjecture has come and gone. The court asks the defense to present evidence. Now at last, it's time for the final piece of evidence. The evidence that proves that this witness used this fountain pen to steal the poison is... the regent. Did I? What sort of substance is this? It's a reagent that allows one to test for the poison in question. It's a new type of alkaloid developed by us, you see. There's no other way to test for it except by using this reagent. In other words, the opposite is also true. All you need is this reagent to test for the poison. Reagent! We'll dip the nib of your fountain pen into this reagent. And then we'll have the last piece of the puzzle in this case. Oh, shit. I won't allow it! If you're going to be evil, at least know when you're beaten. Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate test be done. Is this it? Are we gonna get a breakdown? Oh shit! This isn't my fault. This country corrupted me. Oh, this is going so fast I can't even read it all. Here we go, Susato-chan. Right! Fantastic! Also, give me a second. I will put the translation in here. Oh. Sorry, I put the translation in, so... Okay. That was the Mikatoba-style Susato toss, right? No. That was a Ryotaro toss. That was amazing. No, it just doesn't like putting spaces. Okay. The moment we dipped the pen nib into the reagent, the transformation was so clear that anyone could have seen it. When I laid eyes on the poison that day, it really was just a sudden impulse. It was like being possessed by a demon. I pretended to go to the lavatory, where I dumped out my ink and rinsed the suction device. When you saw your chance, you used your fountain pen to suck up some poison. Yes, that's right. Allow me to ask one question, Mr. Mami-Momi. What possessed you to steal the poison? I would think it's obvious. To find out the ingredients and write an article on it. A powerful drug being developed in secrecy. As a journalist, how could I pass it up?
Then why? Why did that English lady have to die?
I went to that shack to question her as a journalist. She seemed completely at ease with the fact that she killed someone. I couldn't just let her run off back to her homeland. And that's when that she-dog scoffed at me. What's this? An oriental monkey playing at journalism? You can't even tell the difference between spying and journalism. Low-life scum. What did you call me? Whether it's the law or journalism, everything this country does is just monkey see, monkey do. You're completely incapable after all. You foolish, pitiful creatures. Scurry on off back to your tree. That's an order, monkey. That's when I remembered. The poison I snuck out in my fountain pen. Oh yeah, she really had it coming. What a turn of events. I had to get out of here as quickly as possible. That's what was going through my head, but in the end, I wasn't able to see the deed through to the end. Maybe it's my pathetic journalist nature. I feel for this guy. Like, man, just forget Giselle. I'm like, I feel for this guy. Like, you can't get away from this, but God. I'm not even mad at him. Yeah. May I ask you just one thing? What? You said this was about justice. But as a reporter, you should have had another method of seeking justice available to you. There's no justice in journalism. Huh? 9 months ago, after the trial, I did a thorough investigation. And I finally found out. The suppressed truth lurking in the shadow of that murder. Suppressed? What do you mean? Witness, consider where you are, have some discretion. But think about it, it doesn't make sense! Our country can't convict a criminal because she's foreign? Consular jurisdiction was supposed to have expired, and yet that Englishwoman was being allowed to leave the country. The only thing that makes sense is that England and Japan have some sort of secret exchange. Mommy monkey! Ah! Exchange. And I tried to print all my findings, but the higher-ups crumpled up the article I'd written. Shit, I want to know what's going on! They must have been pressured by the government. If the law turns a blind eye to evil, and even the truth in journalism is suppressed, then I, Mummy, have to take justice into my own hands. You mustn't forget, Mummy-sama, that you committed murder and attempted to pin it on the defendant. You are no different than Giselle Bullitt. You're not qualified to talk about justice. Oh! Oh, Mommy. She got you real good there. It seems that this trial has arrived at a final conclusion at last. Defense, Naruhodo Ryotaro. Oh! That's me, I mean... She, or me, rather. You provided an outstanding defense. It's hard to believe that this is your first trial. How should I put this? You remind me of your cousin. Hold on. Sorry, I was like changing some parts of the script for better reading purposes later. Oh, you mean Naruhodo Ryunosuke? Looking at you now, it's almost like I'm looking at the young man from 9 months ago. The premonition that the age of the modern court system would dawn on this nation.
Thank you very much for the kind compliment.
I realized something keenly today while listening to your defense. That it will likely be all of you who carve out the legal future for the great Japanese empire. Sorry, just got a drink. Thank you, Your Honor. Do you have anything to add, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Prosecutor Ouchie-sama? I've lost to some wet behind-the-ears student not once, but twice. Yes, today has truly marked the end of the Edo period for me.
Sounds as though you took your time entering the age of the Meiji Restoration again.
Shut your mouth! Rather than continue the shame of living a long and unsightly life. What I need is a gallant death, here and now. And that is the Takasuchi philosophy that I've discovered.
Takasuchi philosophy? It seems that this case was a bad influence on him.
What? When the strands are sliced, they scattered in the wind. Even hope must be bid farewell to someday. Takasuchi.
I'm sorry, I couldn't read it. Oh, Yazzie, no! Oh my God, there's sparkles. Susanoo! Pray for Takasuchi's hair. Pray for his hope. Rest in peace, Ouchie's hope. Yeah, which is pretty great, considering all of his, descendants. I can respect this Ouchie a lot. Now then, defendant, Murasame Haori.
Yes, Your Honor.
I shall now hand down your final verdict. Not guilty! Cherry blossoms! Yazzie, no, stop! This concludes today's trial. Woo! Woo! Oh, there's still quite a bit of pages left. Oh. What a case. I quite enjoyed this case a lot more than the first one in the first game. It's the same day, 2:38 p.m., the Supreme Court, defendant lobby number 3.
It's over. My heart is still pounding. It's taking everything I've got to just stay standing. So this is the weight of the duty that a defense attorney must bear. Naruhodo-sama.
Hey, I need a screenshot of that. I need a screenshot of that. Oh yeah.
Susanoo-chan! Thank you! You were so cool! Haori-sama and father. I've never been so deeply moved. I thought I was gonna cry at the end there.
I managed to hold off somehow, but I was about to cry at the end too. Okay, let's be real. I don't think the main series managed to top off anything that GGS has done.
I'm here now, and it's all thanks to you, Susanoo-chan. Oh no, it's thanks to you for telling me the truth. I'm so grateful for that. Susato-chan. You're hopeless. Huh? The two of us are the same age after all. Quit being so formal. You should go with your gut more.
What? With my gut? Kiss!
I am a defense attorney, Naruhodo Ryotaro, and I'm gonna sweep you off to the snack shop. Like that. Thanks, Haori-sama. I'll consider it. Anyway, it felt amazing teaming up with you for a toss. Yes, it was refreshing for me as well. I feel like we ought to toss something else while we're at it.
Don't toss your dad! Don't toss dad! No! Don't look at me like that, Murasame-kun.
No, I wasn't... No, inconceivable. Haori-sama's finally smiling again.
You fought valiantly to the very end. As your father, I'm very proud of you, Attorney Naruhodo Ryotaro-kun. That's a mouthful to say. Naruhodo Ryotaro-kun. Like, ugh.
Thank you very much. I owe it all to you, father. Attorney Naruhodo Ryotaro. This is where we say farewell. I feel a bit of reluctance, but I shall return to being Mikatoba Susato. Huh. Susato-chan, I'm kinda disappointed.
What?!
What do you mean bye-bye? Oh, Soseki-sama, Detective Hosonaga-sama. Long time no see.
It can't be. You're... She's the master of disguises, Hosonaga! You should take some lessons from her! Oh god, yes, what's his face from Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright? Oh, I could never say that at all, ever. I was just like, it's gibberish.
Yes, certain circumstances required me to change my appearance. But I'm Mikatoba Susato.
Oh! How handsome you are!
And how sublime!
No, more like... incredibly handsome! No, your appearance is incredibly sublime! To think that Miss Susato's true identity was Mr. Naruhodo's cousin! It's earth-shattering! Soseki, no!
This somewhat misguided gentleman is Natsumi Soseki-sama. The first time I met him in London, Soseki-sama was in a holding cell, an exchange student from Japan who found himself wrapped up in a strange incident. Thanks to Naruhodo-sama's amazing defense, Soseki-sama was declared innocent and returned to Japan. And now he's a well-known author.
Wow, what an outstanding disguise! I, Hosonaga, Imperial Police Detective, was completely fooled! Please get that checked! I'm not sure how to feel about that, what with you being a detective. Goodness, you're so skilled at disguising yourself, it's actually a bit ominous.
I regret to inform you that this will be my last time disguising myself. I can't compare to your disguise abilities, Detective.
Spell it? Heck no! Well, this is my profession after all.
This detective with the somewhat concerning appearance is Hosonaga-sama. He testified before the Supreme Court in the case 9 months ago as well. He was doing an undercover investigation as the head waiter at the Western restaurant. And after that, he went undercover on the steamship in order to be our bodyguard, but...
No! Don't flash that at me!
In spite of that, Kazuma-sama was...
How dare you flash that at me, game! But as a detective, I'm filled with complicated emotions. In the end, the truth remained hidden.
What do you mean?
The truth about the murder the English lady committed 9 months ago.
Ah, yes, I heard about the English medical doctor who was killed.
Dr. John H. Watson. I was the one who invited him here from England. Why on earth did she kill Dr. Watson? Now that she herself has been murdered, we'll never know. Even the turtle has a sad face right now.
While we were traveling in the Great British Empire, we had a miraculous encounter with Sherlock Holmes-sama, the detective whose name is known worldwide.
Sherlock Holmes. I certainly won't be forgetting him anytime soon.
Personally, I consider him a mortal enemy more than anything else. According to the adventures of Sherlock Holmes novels, that famous detective had a close friend whom he considered a partner. An outstanding medical doctor by the name of John H. Watson. What? Watson? This can't be a mere coincidence.
The doctor from the Great British Empire who was murdered 9 months ago. Was the... Wait, oops, sorry. I'm sorry, I thought he was talking, it just showed him on the screen. That's Susato, that was Susato.
Was the partner of Sherlock Holmes-sama, wasn't he?
Meowsy, I know you're probably like screaming somewhere internally.
If that's the case, that girl will never see her father again.
As you're aware, I once studied abroad in the Great British Empire myself, around the time that you were born.
I know, grandmother told me.
Upon my return to Japan, I became a professor of forensic medicine at Yume Imperial University, but I occasionally worked with the government for the purpose of diplomatic relations with the Great British Empire.
I was aware of that fact as well.
Then perhaps you can understand the fact that I have secrets that I can't tell you. Oh?
Please, just tell me one thing. Why did you summon me back to Japan?
He wasn't sick!
I returned to Japan from the Great British Empire 2 months ago because I received sudden news from Japan via international telegram. News that you collapsed from a high fever whose cause was unknown and were growing weaker by the day. What? What's that supposed to... But upon my return, I found that you were in perfect health. I'm forced to conclude that there was some reason you didn't want me to remain in England.
That's my daughter for you. That's quite a salty gaze you're directing at me. But in regards to that... Get your hands off me! Hello, Mame Momi!
Mame Momi-sama! It seems that someone wants another toss.
Before they lock me up, there's just one thing I want to say. Professor! To me? I know all about it. You're involved in something else. That incident with the exchange student. By exchange student, do you mean Giselle Bullet? Not her! The legal exchange student that departed from the Great Japanese Empire 8 months ago.
What? Legal exchange student? He can't mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What about Kazuma-sama?
No one in this country knows about it. The fact that that exchange student lost his life on the steamship before he could reach England. And that he'll never... Wait, what? What the... The judge... Ladies and gentlemen, the judge is outside the courtroom. What? He just tossed him too. Oh my god. What's going on? Hold on, wait, back up. No one knows if Kazuma's dead? What? Okay. Oh, I never expected you to try to escape to a place like this. What are you doing, bailiffs? Sir, I'm deeply sorry. the last time we had the judge outside of the courtroom was in Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney. And then, I guess, Ace Attorney Investigations kind of counts, but there wasn't really a trial in those games, so... This is so weird. This is already kind of amazing. Look at this shit. I'm sorry, DGS 2's already won up the main series. Where was I? Okay. I'm glad I just happened to come pick you up. The rickshaw is waiting, Mikatoba. Right, thank you. Let's head out right away.
Your Honor.
The trial's over. Now I'm just another friend of your father's. My name is Jigoku Seshiro. Hold on. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Because, you know, I'm not confident in all my pronunciations of names. You've become even more lovely than the last time I saw you. Or perhaps I should say more handsome. Mikatoba Susato-kun. Susato-kun!
Don't tell me. You knew all along.
Judges know all, Susato-kun. It would have been bad news if you'd been figured out at the start of the trial, after all. So I decided to have a chat with him beforehand, as an old friend. Now then, Jigoku, shall we be off? Right. After the developments of today's trial, we'll need to figure out how to work around this.
Father.
Sorry, but we'll have to continue our early conversation some other time. You two worked so hard today. I'm happy for you from the depths of my heart.
Thank you very much.
By Jigoku, Das, wasn't half bad either, eh?
Father, what on earth were you hiding? Are you hiding? About Giselle Bullet, about Dr. Watson, and then what Mame Momi-sama started saying earlier about Kazuma-sama. It looks like I'll have to hear what he has to say without Father knowing.
Legal aid Mikatoba, may I have a moment?
Yes, what is it, Soseki-sama?
Perhaps it's fate that I read into you here. Actually, I have something I need to tell you.
Huh?
It might have something to do with the reason your father summoned you back to Japan. Ah, shit. Where'd I go? I lost my place! There we go.
The reason he called me back. Soseki-sama, please, tell me.
Yes, ma'am! The 2 years I spent studying abroad were, in a word, brutal. I was wrapped up in those bizarre incidents and saved by substitute exchange student Naruhodo. The moment I was free, I wandered abroad on a ship and hurried home to Japan. With the same haste, I delivered my international study report to the Japanese government. Then, the next day, a guest arrived at my home. It was Professor Mikatoba. He said he wanted to hear my report in more detail.
My father.
Professor Mikatoba seemed very interested in a certain part of my report. He questioned this poor man you see before you most thoroughly, then left. It was the next day that he had that international telegram sent to you.
So, what on earth was it? Which part was my father so interested in?
I don't know the details, but surely you remember, correct? The second murder I was accused of.
Yes, of course. How could I possibly forget?
It was that second murder that the professor was interested in.
The second? But as I recall, Honsama strictly forbid that one to be publicized. So, the only one that was made public should have been the first case.
I'm under no obligation to obey any orders from that detective.
Anyway, thinking back on it now, I can't help feeling like that case must hold the key to everything. That second painful incident. The incident with the boarding house specter.
The case that caused my father to summon me back to Japan. It seems that, somehow, without me knowing about it, his tale has begun again. Woo! Okay.
こうしてかの英国留学生の事件は決着がついたのでございます。大師院に立ってほんの少し分かったような気がいたしました。なるほど様が異国の法廷で何に立ち向かっているのかを。今日はもう一つお知らせしたいことがあって筆を取りました。夏目漱石様がおっしゃった2つ目の事件。父は何も語りませんが、あの事件にはどうやら大きな謎を解く重要な鍵が眠っているようでございます。あの事件の記録はお部屋の棚の左隅に残しておきました。よろしければ振り返ってみてはいかがでしょうか。日本はいよいよ夏の盛り、今日も抜けるような青空でございます。なるほど様、もう一度お会いしたく存じます。すさと。
The end! We are going to probably tackle that case in the next one, isn't it? Yeah, there it is! The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Oh, Clouded Kokoro! Oh, we're back to you again, I see. Oh, don't start it! My friend, do not start. I'm pretty sure that's not how the law works. Witness, tell the court why you stabbed the victim. Listening to the squirrel girl and English woman argue that day got me angry. What were the two of them talking about? About the murder 9 months ago. The schoolgirl was yelling at the English woman for killing Professor Watson, whom she felt indebted to. John H. Watson, the medical doctor whom Professor Mikotoba invited from England. But the English woman just laughed scornfully about it.
She was due to face trial in consular court in Shanghai, but no doubt she would have been found innocent, and after that she would have been allowed to return to her homeland in England.
The defendant seemed frustrated about that. I couldn't help feeling sorry for her. Hold it! Hold it! That's Hari.
I can't possibly accept what you just testified.
Hari-sama.
Hey, who said you could take the stand, defendant?
Exactly. I'm in the middle of my testimony. Kindly keep quiet.
But what you just said is nothing but a big fat lie. Hey, Susato-chan, please,
We're in the middle of a cross-examination. The defendant will return to his seat at once. Your Honor, I implore you. That reporter is not a trustworthy witness.
That's right. He's an evil, spiteful peeping Tom who surrounds himself in filthy lies.
You and a bit too... Now then, let's try removing the cap. Let's disassemble the grip too. This is where the ink goes, correct? Yes, the ink nib and The ink nib end extends into the ink cartridge and sucks up the ink. Is something wrong, Father? As far as I can tell, there doesn't appear to be any ink in the cartridge. You're right. It's nearly empty. Did it just happen to run out of ink? Bound pen. The initials HM are engraved in it. There's just a little liquid left in the ink cartridge. Give me 1 second. I gotta close the door. He might have, you know, there was only a little bit of poison taken from the lab, so he might have actually put the poison inside of inside the ink cartridge area. Okay. Excuse me. I admit I stabbed the English woman, but that proves me innocent. So in other words, you possess murderous intent toward the victim. Ha! More like righteous indignation. Righteous indignation? He must mean justified anger. That English woman committed murder in our country. In other words, the ultimate crime. The government just let the criminal be, so I, Mommy Momi, had to take up my hammer of justice in their stead. Justified anger. Societal justice. That's what's turned me into the monster I am. In short, you did possess murderous intent, correct? You don't need to be so dramatic, good sir. Either way, there's only one thing that matters. That my righteous indignation rendered that English woman speechless.
And now it's our turn to bring down that hammer of justice upon that schoolgirl.
Regardless, I obviously had nothing to do with the poisoning. And that's why you wouldn't have poisoned her? That's right! It'd be like wearing a belt and suspenders at the same time. I'm sorry, his testimony was if I slipped the poison, there would have been no need for me to stab her. I'm so used to putting my little subtitles there.
After the defendant poisoned her, this witness stabbed her. Naturally, we can't just let him off the hook, but the one who committed the murder was the defendant. That's how the law works. Have you learned something new today, Hicks student?
However, to be murdered twice, I can't help feeling sorry for the victim. Don't feel sorry for her! That just goes to show how evil she was. That's how the law works. Charged with spreading the truth. Allow me to apologize deeply for giving false testimony. However, it would seem that someone was able to get things done before I could. Yes, naturally. I'm referring to that lovely, respected, deserving schoolgirl. Hari-sama. She slipped that English woman poison. She slipped that English woman poison and stopped her heart. She saved me from being declared a murderer. Now this I can't forgive him for, that he's framing someone else. That's true. If she'd already been slipped poison, it would have only been a matter of waiting for her to die. There would have been no need to go to the trouble of stabbing her in the back.
Therefore, this man has nothing to do with the poisoning. Naturally, that's the obvious conclusion.
Yes, I think you all understand my point. Long live the Supreme Court!
How could this happen? We came so far and now he's going to get away? Neither Kazuma-sama nor Naruhodo-sama ever forgot to look ahead before the sound of the last gavel fell.
All right then, defense. You may conduct your final cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Let's look at this pen. You know, we have to figure out where that poison's coming from, so maybe it's in the pen. Alright, we're back. We're back. My dogs have decided to come out and invade the room I'm in right now, so I apologize if they decide to start barking. I don't think they are, but because they're sleeping right now for the most part, so should be okay. Alright, so let's get into this testimony. I ain't gonna go down without a fight, that's for sure. Anyway, the basis for the absolute truth. I admit that I stabbed the Englishwoman, but that fact has proved me innocent. If I'd already slipped her poison, there would have been no need for me to stab her. Listening to the schoolgirl and the Englishwoman's argument that day got me angry. If the Englishwoman wasn't going to be judged for her crime, then someone had to take justice into her own hands. Their own hands. Man, I have such mixed feelings for this guy. Like, I'm not even angry at the crime he just committed. Like, I'm just not mad. So then, you admit it. You admit that the one who stabbed the victim in the back through the reeds was you, Momi-sama. It's our nation's fault. A nation that yields to the pressure of foreign ones and allows a murderer to go free has no future. That's why I had no choice but to take matters into my own hands in the cowardly Japanese government's stead. I plunged the blade of justice into that lovely lady's back. Yeah, I'm not even mad at this guy. Like, no, he shouldn't have done it, but I see where he's coming from. As someone who's